The new iPhone 16s are out. I just received mine today. If you're thinking about upgrading and wondering which phone to buy, then stick around. This video is for you. Hi, my name is Rich, and I crank out simple videos on how to use your iPhone and iPad. We just crossed an incredible milestone of 100,000 subscribers. I just want to stop and say thanks to all of you who have supported this channel. It's been incredible to watch an entire community grow around me. I'm just so lucky that my videos have found a home with so many of you. So thanks again. Today I'm going to give a quick take comparing the iPhone 16 Plus to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But it won't be a video with a bunch of benchmarks and statistics and such. In all honesty, I don't care a lot about those things. I only care about a practical, day-to-day approach to using an iPhone in the way I think most people use an iPhone. So I'm only going to cover 5 basic areas. The cost of the iPhones, how the phone feels in your hand, the iPhone screens, the iPhone cameras, and then lastly the speed of the iPhones. They got that new chip in them. I just want to see if it makes any difference. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so these are the two iPhones, and the first thing I want to talk about is just the cost. So there's the iPhone 16 models and then the iPhone 16 Pro models. The iPhone 16 has 2 versions, a kind of a smaller and a larger version, and the Pro has the same thing, a smaller and a larger version. I'm comparing the 2 larger versions today, but I think that would apply to the smaller versions as well if you were comparing them. The iPhone 16 starts at $799. The iPhone 16 Plus starts at $899. The iPhone 16 Pro starts at $899, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max is $1199. So this is $900, this is $1,200, this one costs $300 more. I'm not sure if there's $300 worth of difference, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But just keep those prices in mind. The first thing I want to talk about is just how the iPhone feels in your hand. Now, if you take a look at the profile of the iPhone, you can see that, well, I don't know if you can tell this on camera, but this phone right here, the iPhone 16 Plus, is a little bit thinner than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And when I hold it in my hand, I can feel that. I can tell a difference in, how it feels. I've played around with this one for a few hours, and I've carried this one most of the time, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And the minute I put it down and then picked this up, it was like, oh gosh, that's definitely lighter. Now, I don't know if it's a whole lot lighter. I don't have one of those scales that weighs that kind of stuff, but it does feel lighter in your hand. And if that's important to you, then this might be the phone you want to go for. But they are pretty close. But honestly, I think I do like the feel of the Plus better in my hand than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Of course, this is a subjective thing. You'll just have to go to the Apple store and pick them up, or to your phone store, pick them up and play around with them and see which one you like the best. But for me, right now, I think the Plus feels better in the hand. Next up is the iPhone screens. As you can probably tell, the iPhone 16 Pro Max screen is a little bit bigger than the 16 Plus screen. The 16 Pro Max is a 6.9 inch screen, and this is a 6.7 inch screen. And just looking at them head on like I am now, you can definitely tell a difference. One thing you can see is that the bezels, the little black bezel that goes around the perimeter of the screen, is really small on the 16 Pro Max. And on the 16 Plus, it's a lot thicker. Now, not that it's thick on the 16 Plus, that's a really thin bezel, but this is almost like there's no bezel at all. It's almost like the screen just goes from edge to edge. Honestly, for me, that just doesn't mean a whole lot. I think both screens look good. When I look at the brightness of both screens, I think I've got them set to about the same brightness. Yeah, maybe this one's just a hair darker. There we go. They look just about the same to me. Now, the 16 Pro Max screen has got what's called 120 Hertz ProMotion display, and that's where if you've got stuff on your screen like this and you're sliding it back and forth, it just appears smoother on the Pro Max than it does on the Plus. But again, I don't know about that. I can't tell a whole big difference on it. if I'm looking at this phone and then I pick up this phone and I do all the scrolling and the same stuff, I guess there's a little bit of a difference, but is it $300 worth of difference? Probably in my day-to-day use, no, I doubt that it is. But I will say I think I like the slightly larger screen. I mean, if I had to give, the check mark to one of these phones for the better screen, I'd definitely say the 16 Pro Max is a better screen. But having said that, this is a great screen too. And, if it's $300 more, maybe it's just not worth the difference for you. But both screens are great. You can't go wrong looking at either one of them. Okay, next up are the cameras. And clearly there's a difference here. If you look on the back on the 16 Pro Max, we've got 3 cameras and only 2 on the back of the 16 Plus. The Pro Max has a 48 megapixel camera and a 48 wide angle megapixel camera, and the 16 Plus has those same 2 lenses. Then there is the telephoto lens that comes on the Pro Max phone, and it's just missing altogether on this phone. So what that means is that if you're far away from a subject and you're using your Pro Max phone, you can zoom in on the subject a little bit better than you can with this phone. Actually, a whole lot better than you can with this phone. The camera's just not there like it is here. But having said that, I went back through a bunch of photographs that I'd taken just over the course of the last year, and it's not like I was a million miles away from my subject. I was taking pictures of family and friends and my dogs and just, stuff, and it didn't really seem to make that much a difference because for me, I wasn't using that telephoto lens all that often. Now, I will show you a couple of photos that I took. I tried to match them up, and you can see this is of my yellow HomePod Mini, and I don't know if this shows up on screen very well. Both of them are really good photographs. I don't know that I can tell a huge difference between the two. I don't know. Maybe this is a little brighter in the colors than this one. I mean, if it gets that close, does it really make that big of a difference? I mean, when I'm literally having to sit here and stare at them and try to figure out which one looks better. The color seems to be a little different on this one, a slightly brighter yellow than this one, but you can adjust the profiles, and maybe I could play around with this and get it to work similar to the Pro Max. But again, I think from a photo standpoint, it's just not that different unless you're using it as with the telephoto lens. Here's another photo that I took of a plant, and you can just see, I mean, in both cases, again, I'm not sure how well that translates on screen, but you can get an idea that both of these look pretty good. If someone showed me these 2 pictures and asked me which phone they were taken on, I'm not sure that I would know the difference. I mean, it's that close, and they're that good. And of course, they're using the same lens, so you would expect the results to be about the same. I'm sure if I went out in the yard and took a picture of a bird that's, 50 yards away, the telephoto lens on the Pro Max would be a lot better than the photo that I would end up with on the 16 Plus. So, you have to honestly give a thumbs up to the Pro Max for the camera. It is better. The camera setup on the Pro Max is better than the camera setup on the Plus. Lastly, I just want to talk about the speed of the phones. Both of them are running the A18 chip in them. Both of them will be able to handle Apple Intelligence whenever that comes out. I just put a couple of apps up here at the top, and I thought we'd open them and see if we can see a difference. I'll first open Music, and I'll just try to tap on them at exactly the same time. And I don't know. They seem like they worked about the same there. I'll do Files. About the same. Again, try the Calendar. I mean, that's so close, I can't tell. We'll try News. And again, about the same. So that's what you would expect since both the chips are the same in each one. So both of them work really, really well. Both of them are really fast. One thing I do want to point out is that the Pro Max has the always-on display. And that means, if you turn your phone off, you get the display, and if you turn off the 16 Plus, it just goes dark on you. when you use the 16 Pro Max on a charging stand, you can put it into standby mode, which is where you sort of flip your phone sideways, and you can get a clock and a calendar and a list of things to do and that kind of stuff, and that always shows up. This will also turn on standby mode, but it only lasts for a few seconds and then it goes back off the screen again. So if that's important to you, then a Pro model is your only option on that. You know, after all of that, I wish I could give you a definitive answer on which one I like the best. It's just going to take me some time using them and playing around with them to see which one works the best for me. Right now, the feel in the hand of the 16 Plus kind of gives it a slight advantage to me, even though the camera system is clearly better on the Pro Max. But either way, you can't go wrong with these phones. They're a great phone, and I think you'll like them. Well, that's just my quick take on these two phones. I'll know more about them as time goes on and I get to put them into a day-to-day use, and I'll share my thoughts on my conclusions in a future video. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.